Okay, start and stream. Pat, you are live.
Hello and welcome diveLIVE family to another live dive here today at the Devil's Grotto on the western side of Grand Cayman Island. I'm your underwater biologist today. I'm Pat from Australia. On camera we have Emil from Hungary, and on the surface as your marine biologist today we have Lauren from Scotland. So I am at 13 metres depth right now on the right hand side of the reef, just out the front of John Foster's Dive Centre. So that is about 45-50 feet down. Now I am out in front of a sand patch today, so I'm going to have a look around for an eagle ray or a stingray. Come along guys, let's go diving.
Thanks for that, Pat. A very warm welcome to everyone who's joining us on the dive today. It is a really glorious morning here in Grand Cayman. So Pat's already mentioned he would like to see an eagle ray and a stingray, but please do send in what you would like to see and we will do our best to try and point it out if we spot it. So please send in your questions. If you're on Twitter, make sure you use that hashtag diveLIVE, and we're also following you on YouTube and Facebook. We will do our very best to answer your questions. So Pat, the visibility doesn't look so great down there today, is that right?
Yeah, it's not the best today, so if I had to put a distance estimate on it, I would say about 45 to 50 feet, or about 15 metres. So usually we get about 20 to 25 metres, or 70 to 80 feet. But today it is, yes, looking a bit less. It seems to be a lot of plankton floating around in the water right now, which is probably what is causing it. But that's not always a bad thing, because plankton is a large food source for a lot of fish, so hopefully it brings them all out.
Wow, Marcy would like to see some Christmas tree worms, which should be possible, and maybe a turtle. And Love Dogs would like to see a porcupine fish. So bear that in mind, Pat, and if we see them, let's point them out.
Yes, most definitely. I'm sure we can get at least one of those things, if not all three.
So how's the temperature today?
It is 28 degrees Celsius, or 83 degrees Fahrenheit. So another warm day down here. And now we've just come across this really patchy area. So there's a lot of little bombing spread out all over the place. So we'll have a look around here, because quite often there are a lot of cool things hanging around these bombs.
Yeah, you can see that little coral outcrop that Pat is referring to. And there's a beautiful vase sponge right in front of us right now. That's a beautiful purple looking sponge with two corals next to it.
What a beautiful sponge, and we can see it's got a big opening at the top. Now this is actually their, well, you can think of it as their mouth. It really isn't their mouth, but this is where they exhale everything that they filter through. So they have lots of tiny little pores all over their body that they draw water in through, and they will take food and oxygen out of the water in this process, and then they'll blow it all out the top, and that is essentially their feeding and breathing at the same time. And also it's used in reproduction, because they inhale the sperm, they hold their eggs internally, and their sperm will fertilize their eggs.
Yep, Emil has given us a really good close-up. And if you just go to the bottom of the sponge, Emil, you actually managed to capture a brittle star's arm, one of them. If you go back down to the bottom of the vase sponge, No, the bottom. Yeah, that's the opening. You managed to capture it. In case anyone was wondering what it is, it was the arm of a brittle star. Maybe we'll be able to get it again. Yeah, there we go. Perfect. So you just see this hairy, creepy looking thing at the bottom of the vase, and that is one arm belonging to the brittle star. Are you able to see that, Pat?
I cannot see it, but I'll just have a look. So, brittle stars do quite often live in sponges. If you take a look inside, you'll sometimes see one or two. They are nocturnal creatures, so we do see them a lot more at night.
It's a little bit out of focus.
Oh yes, I can see that arm there. Yeah, so that is a brittle star that's related to a sea star, and they have the same sort of body plan where they have a central mouth surrounded by 5 arms, except the arms here, or I call them arms, but they're not really arms. They are more kind of plant-like, I suppose. They're very thin and have lots of little hairs coming off of them.
Yeah, so obviously we're not seeing the whole body here. It is hiding, but Emil got us a great view of one of the arms here of this animal. That's something different for us to look at. And Pat also mentioned that they're nocturnal, so that's correct. That's probably why it's hiding right now, and it will become much more active at night time. They very often hide out in the sponges, particularly the vase sponge.
Let's go over here. It looks like there's a pretty big grouper hanging out on top of this lobby over here.
We can see it away in the distance there. I wonder what species it is.
It actually looks like it may be a small Goliath group, or no, perhaps it's a tiger.
Yeah, we can see the stripes, the very faint stripes running down the body, which is why Pat knows that it's a tiger grouper.
And it looks like it is getting a clean right now, so there is a few little cleaner gobies working around its pectoral fin right now. And so it is stopping off here on this coral because there are a lot of little fish presenting themselves as cleaners. So this guy has stopped and he is currently just letting all of the little fish swim all around his body and eat off any parasites or any unwanted organisms or dead bits of skin that may be present on its body. Now we can see right now it's opening up both its gills and its mouth, and it is actually allowing these little fish inside its mouth. So it is a very trustworthy operation here between the two animals.
Yeah, we're getting a really, really good view of it. This tiny fish that's just hovering next to its pectoral fin, and it was almost attempting to go inside those gills. Oh, it went! There we go. It's gone inside the gills. I can't see any cleaning activity on the mouth. It seems to be a body work it's getting today.
Yeah, so it's all happening around the gills, so maybe it has quite a high parasite load around the gills.
Yeah, they have a lot of ectoparasites, and this can be actually painful when they get them plucked off. So this grouper is doing a really good job at just hovering still there for us. And we're getting a good glimpse of its tongue. A really, really good close-up of the mouth, and we can see those big sharp teeth, which show that groupers are big predators of the reef.
Yes, and despite this, they are still not eating these little fish, even though they're right in its mouth. But for this guy, the benefits of being cleaned far outweigh the benefits of what he would get if he was just to eat one of them. So this tiny little fish is probably not going to provide much nutrients for him, so it's better to have it just clean him instead.
Yeah, another symbiotic relationship of the coral reef. So technically that grouper could close its mouth at any point and eat those fish, but it never will. And that's the beauty of symbiosis.
It may get irritated and shake them out if they come a bit too close to its skin or hurt it or irritate it in any way, but it probably will not physically harm the animal.
I just can't believe how still it's staying for us.
Yeah, it's like it hasn't even seen it. It must really be enjoying this clean today.
So Pat, Proud Cat Mama is asking, how big do tiger groupers get?
They can actually get really big. I've heard of them getting up to 1 metre long, sometimes bigger, so about 4 to 6 feet long that they can get. This one, if I had to guess, I would say this one is about 60 centimetres long, so about 2 feet.
Yeah, Pat's right, they can go up to 1 metre, about 3 foot, so that's a pretty big fish. And I think it's finished cleaning now.
Yes, it's going off to maybe find some more food. Relax for the day. So we'll move around to the edge of this reef here on the sand patch. Maybe look under some ledges, see if there's a spiny lobster or a moray eel hanging about. But I'm still keeping my eyes open, scanning around for a big eagle or a...
Pat's always hoping for the big things. And there is because he is hovering above the sandy patch, and we can see that grouper there, it's just like swimming along the ledges. It's always worth having a little look under those ledges for lobsters and eels, which is probably what Emil is doing for us right now.
Yes, Emil is probably better off looking than me because he is the king at spotting.
So lots of animals will hide out under these ledges, especially during the day if they are nocturnal. So we really never know what we're going to find underneath here. Oh, we do have a Christmas tree worm. There you go. One request is met. Over to you, Pat.
Yes, we have found ourselves a Christmas tree worm. Now, do not be fooled by those dual crowns coming out. This is one organism, and it is a polychaete worm, so a segmented worm.
Just a little bit out of focus. There we go. On you go, Pat.
And this is like an iceberg here. So what we're seeing is only the top third of the animal. There is about 2/3 of it that is inside of this coral right now. And the funny thing about this is that it actually didn't bore into the coral so much. It more so planted itself and allowed the coral to grow up around it. Now, they do have, as I said, 2 of these whorls or crowns or Christmas trees or whatever you want to call it coming out, and they are actually, it must have sucked itself back in. But this is actually a good example to show another structure on it. So we can see that it's slowly coming back out. Great. Oh wow.
Oh.
So, the bit covering its hole right now is called the operculum. And this is actually a part of the animal that comes down under these 2 Christmas trees and will cover the hole when they retract themselves for further protection. And it is made out of calcium carbonate.
Yeah, so Betty Brooks is actually asking, do the worms itself come all the way out?
No, they will remain here generally for the rest of their lives. So the two branches coming out the top, they contain both those sensory organs, not true eyes, but they can detect light. But their most important role is filtering the water for food and oxygen. So just like with those sponges that we showed you before, they will also extract, they will sit there and extract little pieces of plankton and oxygen using those two bits protruding out the top.
Yeah, and Pat might not be able to see this because he's not as close as the zoom is able to get us, but when the two crowns pulled back inside, they retreated, we were actually able to see that it's really burrowed into one polyp of this beautiful star coral, which we also call the Cheerio coral. So we were able to see that exactly where it's burrowed inside. Now we do have a question asking from Proud Cat Mama, asking how long the Christmas tree worms actually live for. And that's a really interesting question because they can live up to 30 years. Between 10 and 20 is much more common, but they can go up to 30 years old. So for such a small, unusual looking organism, it can get quite old. And that is probably because it is protected and nestled in amongst this beautiful boulder star coral. In Gizmo, the blue and yellow fish swimming around, I think it's more purple and yellow, is the fairy basslet. So we keep catching glimpses of it, so that's what this fish is. So many people have different ideas why the Christmas tree worm nestles only in specific coral species. So it doesn't nestle in amongst them all, and the boulder star coral is a favorite. And they think it's probably to mainly avoid predation by that typical common parrotfish, which does come along and munch on all the coral. So they would obviously want to avoid being eaten by accident. So this is one of the reasons that they do choose to burrow inside this species of coral.
Okay, so let's keep on moving around. We'll keep heading out along this edge. The reef will, I think we've got a barracuda up here.
Oh, nice.
Oh no, it is a zero, sorry.
Oh, yeah, we're able to see that.
In amongst a huge school of Creole wrasse and black durgan. Now, such a regular sight here is a zero just cruising on through, coming up closely, having a look, and then moving off. They are a predatory fish, and I believe they are mostly pelagic, so they're only really coming onto the reef to get themselves some food and move on out. But I guess they're curious about us on their way through.
Yeah, they're very curious animals. They tend to come really close, have a look, and then think, this is not really that interesting. I see these guys all the time, and then swims off again. They are part of the mackerel family, and they can grow up to 3 feet, which is about 1 meter. You got some yellow goatfish up ahead?
Yes, so this is probably about 10-15 fish school. And of course, as with every time there's some goatfish around, there is a black barjack hanging around it. And now this black barjack is hanging around this school because they know where the food is. Because they're called goatfish because they have two little barbels that hang down under their chin like the beard of a goat. And they use this to sense through the sand and find food. So these barjacks have clued onto this Now I believe these two barjacks actually right now might be mating or spawning.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, this is nice. Yeah, so they're pretty much using the goatfish like a metal detector for their food.
Yes, they're very opportunistic. They do literally make the most of every opportunity.
And did you see them getting a bit affectionate there, those two barjacks?
Yeah, we did. Emil captured it perfectly. So Pat, people were really in awe of the Christmas tree worms. Shall we continue to answer some questions about them?
Yeah.
Oh, I can actually... Oh, I think that's a Christmas tree worm just there, to the left. Up a little bit. Oh, yeah, just to the left right now. And up. It's kind of gone inside, but if you just wait there is two Christmas tree worms right ahead of us right now. So... Pat, Marcy's asking, how do the Christmas tree worms reproduce?
So, Christmas tree worms, I believe, are broadcast spawners, but I'm not too sure about that.
Yep, they are. They are broadcast spawners because they're stationary and they're not able to move to reproduce. And there is actually separate male and female worms, but of course we cannot see that to our naked eye. But there are separate sexes. And once fertilization actually occurs, it only takes 24 hours for the larvae to develop. So I think that answers your question as well, Betty. That's how they reproduce. And the larvae will float in the water column and it will nestle against a coral and force the coral to grow over it, and that is how they choose their new spot. Really interesting animals.
Yes, they are. Very, very splendid sight, and they come in a whole range of colours as well, so it's almost like a little bit of a collector's thing to see just how many different colours there are. I've seen a whole range from reds, blues, purples, yellows, browns. And even some are multicolours. Some have streaks of black and even white through them, so they really are a beautiful animal.
Well, Seringo's asking, do the Christmas tree worms have eyes?
No, they do not have eyes. They have what we call photoreceptors. So they can detect changes in light, which is actually what they use to sense when something is around, and that's what will tell them when to retract, so it's actually shadow. So they can pick up changes in light, but they don't have true eyes.
So what are we looking for now, Pat?
Well, we've just come out to the crest of the reef, and I've had a bit of a look out to see if there's anything big, but there's nothing really hanging out on the sand. So I'm going to come back up over the reef and shallow off a bit and see if I can find the way back through. I don't think I'm going to get my eagle ray coming back this way, but we might be able to get you a turtle.
Oh, I hope so. I love a good turtle sighting. We are getting to know the individual turtles around here, so it's always good to check in on them.
So, just coming through here, there is quite a large and very healthy looking piece of acropora.
Oh, my favorite. Yeah, so we can see right now we have a healthy colony of Acropora cervicornis. Now that we have this zoom, we're going to be able to zoom in on exactly what we normally talk about. So if you look at the very end of a branch, the very tip, yeah, that's it, you can see there's one white little coral polyp at the end of each branch. And this is how we actually know that it is an Acropora species. So we always spoke about that before. Oh, we got a damselfish telling us to go away here. So we always speak about this, but we were never actually properly able to show you. But Emil's got it right ahead of us right now. So this is a staghorn type of coral, and it is quite a fast-growing species. It can grow about 10 centimeters every year, which is still incredibly slow, but it's the fastest, one of the fastest for coral. But that means it's normally the fastest damaged. So it's normally the first to go when there's any impact on the reef.
Yeah, that really highlights just how the growth patterns of corals can really affect their longevity and their survival, because as Lauren mentioned, this is a fast growing but also a very brittle coral, whereas the corals that grow, 2 or 3 millimeters a year are very hardy and will quite often not be affected so much by storms or being knocked or breaking or anything like that. So yeah, the slower growing corals generally tend to be the hardier and stronger corals.
Yeah, and they obviously get their name from the sort of resemblance to antlers, if you like. So it is difficult to remember all the names of corals, so we do often just say staghorn coral to make it easier for us. And their populations worldwide have declined. But here in Casuarina Point, we are noticing random, really healthy colonies sprouting out all over the reefs. And we do believe this is due to a reef recovery program nearby, which is assisting in bringing these colonies back.
Now, I did spot a French angelfish, a grey angelfish somewhere around here, but I can't see it anymore. So I will keep my eyes open for it because they are pretty rare to see on this reef, so I'll keep a lookout.
Yeah, it's only been very recent that we have started to spot the grey angelfish here, and normally we see the French angelfish. And angelfish are Pat's favourite, so I'm sure he's looking out for them right now.
Most certainly.
Now I can see a really unusual looking sponge ahead. It's right in our field of view, Pat. Shall we just take a look?
Which sponge was that, sorry?
It's right in the camera. We're kind of looking at it. Nope, a little bit further away. Nope, a little bit further in the background. Sorry, we were just looking at it, so I thought I would just mention it. Yeah, that's it. Look at that structure. Wow, so we did, well, Pat showed you the vase sponge earlier. So this is a completely different type of sponge. Can you see it, Pat?
Yes, it's quite a large colony, and we refer to this one as a colony because, as we can see, there are several openings of the sponge there. So these are actually individual sponges that have grown together in a cluster.
Yeah. And we can actually see lots of different gobies darting in and out, so they obviously use this for shelter.
Yeah, that is another ecosystem advantage, I guess, of sponges, is that they definitely do provide a pretty good structure for other animals, especially smaller fish, through hide in and around.
Yeah, that's right. And it's not even the small animals. There has been evidence of green turtles making a bed on the big barrel sponges. So we never know what's going to be inside of these, inside the holes.
Yeah, and that kind of works well for the turtles because they actually eat sponges as well. So to have a home and food in one is pretty good, or a bed and food in one at least.
So Cenac was asking what species of sponge was that? So I do believe it was the tube sponge. Would you agree?
Yes. Yes, that looks like a tube sponge or a colony of tube sponges.
Yeah, I think they call it here the tubulate sponge, but same thing. I do believe that was tube sponges.
Sponges are notoriously hard to identify, and this is because quite often you'll have to break it down to a cellular level or look at certain parts of it under a microscope. Now, we don't have a lab set up here, so that would be impossible for us to do. Because sponges do grow in a whole heap of different sizes and shapes. And even though they might be the same species, they can still take on different forms and colours, which can make things really tricky.
Yeah, so Marcy's asking Pat, how long does coral take to form?
Well, that's a really quite variable question. It depends on the species and their life modes and their growth rates and everything like that. So, as Lauren mentioned before, with Acropora cervicornis, that elkhorn coral, it can be 10 centimetres a year that grows, but others can be 2 to 3 millimetres and even less per year. So it can take them a very long time to get where they are.
Yeah, just to build on that, it also does depend quite heavily on the conditions. So corals do rely on light, perfect access to direct sunlight. They rely on clean and healthy waters that aren't polluted or filled with sedimentation. And they rely on a good, strong food source. So all of these different things would affect how fast a coral would grow. But Pat is right, it does depend on the species. There are slow-growing ones and there are fast-growing ones. So you do normally spot very small baby colonies that have obviously just started out to grow. And then we also have the big, bolder, mountainous corals, which have obviously been growing for hundreds of years. Oh, I think Emil has an anemone up ahead.
So, I have found us, what has Emil got here? Oh, wow. Okay, so I was just about to point out a giant anemone right where I am, but it appears that Emil found one before me.
He did. So this looks quite a small giant anemone.
Yeah, we can see that it's got a few really small tentacles as well. I'm not sure whether it's been attacked or eaten by something, but
I can't see the small ones, but it does definitely look like a small anemone within itself. And there's actually a huge variety of anemones across the world. There's over 1,000 species, and this is the giant anemone.
yeah, anemones are actually also very closely related to coral. So this might not seem apparent at first, but if we're actually to look at the polyps of a coral close up when they are extended or out of the coral, then we can see that there's actually a lot of resemblance between their setup. So this anemone here is a lot of tentacles surrounding a central mouth that goes to a digestive cavity underneath. Now this is literally the same as a polyp of a coral. It is a ring of tentacles around a central mouth that feeds into a digestive cavity. So the difference is obviously the size and the fact that the corals grow in colonies where they have a calcium carbonate skeleton. And these anemones tend to be individuals that live a solitary life. They'll be much larger.
Yeah, nice comparison of the coral and the anemone there. Sinak is actually asking that he heard clownfish are invasive in the Caribbean, and don't they often hide in the anemone?
The clownfish?
Yes.
Yeah, so you are right with the fact that they do hide in the anemone, but not here because we don't get them, unfortunately. So the clownfish is around the Indo-Pacific region, but they haven't made it over here to the Caribbean. So though we see the giant anemone, just like this one here, we do not get the fish, the anemone fish like the clownfish.
Yeah, they're not present here in the Caribbean, so they're not an invasive species, but you do find them in other oceans throughout the world. And there are 26 species of clownfish which exist and have a relationship with the anemone. So it's another symbiotic relationship that only 10 species of anemone will coexist with the clownfish. So it is a shame we don't get them here. Some people were asking for Nemo earlier, but no, we won't be able to show you Nemo because they're not present here in these reefs.
Okay, so I am almost near the point where I have to end the dive because I only have about 10 or 20 bar until I reach 50 bar. So what I'm going to do is quickly head this way and shallow up a bit and see if I can show you the squid that we tend to get here in the mornings in the shallows.
Yeah, that's a good idea, so you can just stay with us a little bit longer. And Sinak, I have a request for you. Can you please tell us how to pronounce your name? We really have no idea, and I believe we are possibly saying it wrong. So if you could just type the English spelling of your name, that would be great.
Yes, we do get a lot of questions from you, so it'd be awesome if we could say your name right.
Yeah.
Now, coming back through, there's a big array of fish just hanging around the top of the reef here. So they must all be feeding on this plankton.
Yeah, we can really see the plankton. It does look like you're swimming through a snowstorm there, Pat.
Yeah, it feels a little bit like it too.
So as Pat mentioned, plankton does affect the visibility. It kind of makes it a little bit difficult for us to see, but it is a great food source for so many animals down there that normally it can bring in more life. So a lot of these fish will be plucking it out the water column.
And in case anyone doesn't know what we're referring to when we talk about plankton, it is a collective term that's given to anything that is small and doesn't really have the ability to fight the current. So it just stays afloat and is at the mercy of the current. So it can't move. They can migrate upwards and downwards sometimes for example, the algae might want light during the day, so they can migrate vertically, but they can't actually move where they want to in the current. So this can be a plant, as I said, with the algae, or animals, like small crustaceans, or larvae, or mollusks, or anything really, fish, all types of invertebrates.
Well, we have a good zoom, but Zoom's not quite good enough to get right up to the plankton. They are microscopic.
No, we would need microscopic capabilities there, I believe.
So, Pat, I believe we say the name as Spas.
Spas.
Yes, but we have been saying it wrong the whole time, and we apologise.
Well, at least we've got it now. Thanks for that.
But we do appreciate all your support. You have been with us since the very beginning, so I'm glad now we will hopefully say your name correctly. And a big shout out to Gemma from London, who has just joined us. We're glad to have you with us towards the end of this dive.
Yes, and unfortunately it is going to have to be the very end of the dive, so there doesn't seem to be the squid here that I was looking for, and I've hit 50 bar, so it's time for me to end the dive. But thank you all for coming down with me today. Thank you, Emil, and thank you, Lauren. We do have another dive at 11 AM Grand Cayman time. Lauren will be down in the water with you then, so we hope to see you all there.
Yeah, thank you everybody for watching. Thank you diveLIVE family. I'll see you soon at 11 AM Cayman time.